Let's go back to our excellent panel being chaired by Guyon Espiner across at the Keith Myers Centre at the University of Auckland on Shortland Street.
10% counted.
Look at the party vote in Christchurch Central, it's flipped around.
Yeah. Thank you very much, John. We've just been talking here about New Zealand First, and if you can see there watching at home, over 7% for New Zealand First on the party vote. But we're pretty interested in Northland because, of course, that is the seat that Winston Peters won in the by-election. And Stephen Mills, if I can come to you, well, he's actually behind at the moment, isn't he? With what, nearly 10% counted.
Yeah, 9.5%, and he's 108 behind Matt King. Party vote Nationals 19% ahead there. So, I mean, there's a long way to go with that one. So I don't know what particular booths are coming, but it looks like it's not going to be the big victory that the by-election was. No,
I mean, there it is there on screen. Matt King, obviously out in front for National of New Zealand First. Obviously he's safe with the party vote, but by-elections, Clayton, very different from general elections, aren't they?
Oh, you had the blowtorch of the nation right on him, and as Winston's opening slogan in the by-election was, of course, look what I've got for you after all the National Party promises, and I haven't even got on the ballot yet. So, you know, that was, I think, an inherently protest vote. By-elections very unusual, different set of circumstances here. Maybe the National Party's come out and moved.
I mean, obviously it would be a big blow for his pride to lose that seat, but do you read any wider significance into that?
Oh, well, look, he's holding around, what, 7% in terms of the party vote. He's there. And, of course, you know, having been a constituency MP, you never want to lose it. And it's his home territory, it's his home ground, and there will be a lot of pride at stake in terms of it. But it is, look at the raw numbers, it's very, very close.
It is close too. Let's also have a look at Auckland Central, because Nikki Kay, who previously has beaten Jacinda Ardern, what is it, twice in that seat, before she moved to Mount Albert. But Nikki Kay actually, well, marginally ahead now, I see, but a very close run thing with Helen White from Labour.
And look at the party vote, 40 to 36.8 to National, a lot closer than the National result. But you know, Helen White's worked very hard. It's you know, it's a close run thing.
Yeah, so 1,848 votes to Nikki Kay, 1,693 to Helen White. With what, 17% counted, so it looks pretty tight there. It's interesting that Labour doing quite well in a number of these big urban seats, doing quite well in Christchurch Central too, on the numbers that they've got. Do you think that there's been a bit of a mood away from Labour in the regions? They've been hurt perhaps by those tax moves, but in some of the urban centres they've been looking a bit better?
Yeah, but again, don't discount Whanganui. Right, that's a regional seat. So you've got Whanganui in play. You've got Webb doing very well in Central. You've got O'Connor doing well, or you know, ahead and holding in Oharu. So you know, those seats are looking good.
But it'll be interesting to see whether that's a younger vote coming through in those like Auckland Central and otherwise. You know, is that the young people finally getting out that youth quake that Bryce has talked about?
Let's talk about that. I mean, have we had the youth quake, or is it too early to tell?
Not sure we have actually, but whether it is in particular, whether it's lumpy across the electorates, and we've seen some of it in particular electorates, we don't know yet.
It's not delivering a result different from the polls, and it doesn't, you know, so yeah, it may be contributing a bit to that Labour result. I think across these seats things are some quite interesting things, because the party vote is quite strong in Whanganui as well. That, you know, when I started in politics, which is a long way away, the battleground was the provincial marginals, and you know, gradually Labour's been completely wiped out of those, and they've been taken over by National. I think if Labour re-establishes, regardless of Winston Peters' eventual decision in this election, if Labour re-establishes a base there, and also I think if it moves back to making Christchurch and Dunedin strongholds, which both have got a little bit, especially Christchurch, but Dunedin a little bit as well, have got a little bit wobbly in recent elections, I think that puts Labour in a much stronger position to be a kind of party that's the major party, rather than, you know, a sort of party that's quite a bit smaller than National.
How much do you think they've been hurt by the tax attack?
Well, I think that'll be, I mean, this election is not over, and as I say, I think very much, you know, the numbers are the numbers, and everything we're seeing is Winston Peters is the kingmaker for the first time actually since 1996. But
well, that's interesting, isn't it?
I think the tax attack hurt really badly. I mean, I think in lots of ways it was like giving National a sort of studded club, standing there with your arms akimbo and saying, hit me. And National, of course, did so.
Obliged.
National would never have accepted Jacinda. They weren't going to lie down and die as Jacinda mania swept over them. But I think if the tax thing hadn't been there as a gift, they'd have had to try riskier options like attacking her for being inexperienced or attacking the team behind her or trying to manufacture something. There was an air of desperation about that $11.7 billion lie, but the tax thing, they had real material to work with, so I think it gave them an easy way to paint Labor as risk and make the election about that rather than about change. And in the end, Labor's message, as I saw it from being slightly outside the kind of main decision makers, in the last week was really they're scaremongering, they're telling lies. It wasn't really, the advertising was dead on making the case that we need action on health, we need action on climate change, we need action on rivers, we need action, in education. But it became, that message was there with the advertising, but the free media was all about defending against scaremongering and saying National's telling lies.
I think we're going to go back to John very shortly, but Clayton, Cosgrove, you've been quite interested in Wanganui. Why do you think that that's significant? Labor doing quite well there.
Well, that's a seat that was held, it's been held by Chester Burrows, I think, for 10 years, into 3 terms. That was there's been boundary changes, it's been regionalised. They're within cooey of National, aren't they? Yeah, and it's, Steph Lewis has run a hell of a strong campaign up there, but it's one to watch.
Thanks very much. Thanks very much for that analysis. We'll be coming back for more numbers as the results continue to come in, but we'll go back to you in the RNZ studio, John.